So this was really very, very powerful lines that we did last time. And I had just kind of highlighted these, unhighlighted these ones. He has forsaken his omnipotence, his calm he has forgone and infinity. So when the Lord is all potent, why would he give out his potency? Why would he not be omnipotent? But he has forsaken it. And the one of the images that can be used here is that if I am sleeping in Delhi, I think this was the example I had been sharing. If I'm sleeping in Delhi and I have to experience Bombay while I am sleeping in Delhi, I can dream about it. And in the dream, I have to become a person, like a limited person, who is not in Delhi, right? So I have to put limits on myself. I have to put limits on myself, although I am in Delhi, but in the dream, because I have to experience Bombay while being in Delhi. So I have to be someone who is in Bombay and hence not in Delhi, so that through his eyes, I can experience what it is to be like in Bombay. So this limitation, consciousness puts on itself, the Shiva consciousness, the Lord, the Brahman himself, he puts these limitations on himself so that he can experience himself as the other, so that he can experience himself as something very unique. Because whenever we talk about anything unique, we have limits to that uniqueness, right? That's how we do, we are doing degrees. So uh, first we are doing like common regular studies, then we go to a master's, and then we further specialize and become an expert in any particular field, doing PhD and postdoc. So the more unique and expertise I have to become, I will have to actually let go of my freedom to be all. So if there is a person who is a urologist, for example, he cannot be a anesthesiologist at the same time. So that expertise, because the consciousness wants to experience also this expertise, like our unique individualities as we are as living beings. Hence, it becomes actually important that he forgets himself that I am the Shiva. Because if I'm always the Shiva, which we all are unknowingly, but we forget, and in this forgetfulness, we become who we are, like this unique individual beings. So we forsake our throne. We have to give it away for some time. So his calm, and for that I have to also let go of my peace. So I am all peaceful, I am the Shiva, but in order to become a unique individuality, I have to let go of that peace which Shiva has, that immutable peace. Consciously, I have to let go of it. Unconsciously, I am that peace. That's where the play is happening. But I have to forget for a moment that vast and infinity that I am. So he has forsaken his omnipotence. His calm, he has forgone an infinity. He's let go of infinity for a moment, and he enjoys the finiteness. He enjoys the limits put on himself by nature, by Prakriti. Yeah, he knows her only, he has forgotten himself. Yeah, so this forgetfulness that we experience in our life of our true nature, so we don't have to blame ourselves for that. We can say that Lord is playing the game, so he has forgotten and hence I have forgotten. But yeah, we also have to remind ourselves then in the process. So he knows her only, he has forgotten himself. So all that I know myself as are the patterns, the qualities, the tendencies, the skills, the weaknesses. So all these are limits that we put on ourselves as an ego personality. And this is a part of a process. That's what he shares here. And he allows himself to be a supernumerary on her stage. So he's allowing himself to be ignored. That's what we call ignorance, ignorance of our true nature. Why? Because this is how it is somehow designed. He is allowed the play of Prakriti to be more dominant. And that also has a longer purpose, because in Prakriti also the Purusha has to manifest, the divine radiance has to manifest, and the seeming blind game has to somewhere, down the lane stop. So he allows himself to be ignored. He becomes an extra on the stage, that as if I do not exist. And that's how we keep on uh, forgetting the awareness behind our thoughts. All the time we focus on our thoughts, feelings. This is the story in my head. This is what I have done in the past. This is what I'm going to in the future. But how do I know a thought? It's because of the awareness behind it. But the awareness is so bland and insipid that it allows itself to be ignored. We allow ourselves to be focusing more on the Prakriti, the movement of time and thought. So he becomes a supernumerary on her stage. And this one also was very interesting. Work out her meanings. She seems not to know. So it seems in the mechanical, repetitive mode of thoughts and patterns and the whole movement of universe, all the planets swirling around, round and round, round and round. It appears that as if it's a blinded movement, as if it's a purposeless movement, and no one knows why it is happening, but it's happening. We have no other option. So she seems not to know, but she knows and serves her secret purpose in long time. Now, what's that secret purpose? We have come across it many times through words of Mother and Sri Aurobindo. The secret purpose, in one way, it can be shared that it is to have perfection in the movement of Prakriti, in the thoughts, in the feelings, in manifestation in the body, to have perfection and to go beyond death while being in the matter. So that's the ultimate long-term secret purpose. And he allows these movements. And then this was also beautiful. He makes the most of the little that she gives. So whatever little experiences we have through our life, events, happenings, and all the patterns, the psychic individuality grows through it. It only takes the essence of that experience, and it grows in stature through those experiences. So he makes the most. The soul consciousness is making the most of all the experiences, innumerable experiences that we have as human beings and other living beings as we have. So yeah, and anybody wants to add on anything here? I just was overlapping on the older previously done lines.
Monica?
Yeah.
Could you expand a little on her secret purpose, please?
So Jyotsna ji, what appears to me, as I shared here, that the secret purpose appears to be right now, as we have seen in the past, yogis and masters or mystics of our times, that they have been, as Mother and Sri Aurobindo also share, that they have been focusing more on the realization of the soul, but leaving the matter or the Prakriti as ignorant as it is right now. So it seems to me that the secret purpose in long time, as I understand it right now, through the words of Mother and Sri Aurobindo also, appears to be that the divine radiance does not only belong to the Purusha or the soul consciousness, but is also possible for the Prakriti, which right now seems a little dumb. So growing from ignorance of our thought patterns, emotional patterns, in growing consciousness, when we become more and more aware of what we do, why we do, become more and more conscious, that consciousness will pervade the darkness of ignorance in matter. So the matter will also become luminous and radiant with divinity, or the soul consciousness, which is right now not that palpable. It is there, but it's not that palpable. And this reminds me of what Mother shared, once, that she had this experience of looking at herself in a mirror, and she was having then that the new body that would be manifesting God knows when. the new body, the supramental body, extremely supple, radiant, luminous, and full of divine immortality. So I believe that it's hinting towards that, the secret purpose, that the nature will also become fully divine and not ignorant. Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks,
Yeah.
Monica.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and do the new lines today, starting from the pink paragraph. This is the knot. Yeah, anyone who feels ready.
This is the knot that ties together the stars. The two who are one are the secret of all power. The two who are one are the might and right in things. His soul, silent, supports the world and her. His acts are her commandments registers.
So this intimacy between the Purusha and Prakriti, the bonded, glued relationship between the two who are one, this is the knot that ties together the stars. And the moment this knot breaks, which will never break, I assume, because they are one only, so how can the knot break? The moment this knot breaks, I'm just kind of extrapolating, then the creation would not be. So it's because of the love of the Purusha to Prakriti, Prakriti's love for Purusha and serving his delight, the two who are one. It's because of this bonded existence that the universe is held, that the God's dream is held as a fact and not just as an illusion which withers away. So this is the knot, this marriage together of Purusha and Prakriti. This is the knot that ties together the stars. The relationship between awareness, consciousness, and the content, if we can call, of consciousness. How tied they are to each other. So just like how tied clouds are to sky. Now, does a cloud have any existence if not for the sky? Not at all. But the sky allows itself to be masked again and again for the clouds to play over the background, insipid background of the sky. So it's almost like that togetherness which can never get separated, and it's because of this separate togetherness that the stars and the whole creation is held together, like the dharma. We can say dharma means to hold. It is the swadharma, the play of consciousness and the contents of consciousness, God and nature, soul and prakriti. This is what ties together the stars. The two who are one are the secret of all power, consciousness force, Sat Chid Ananda. And Sri Aurobindo translates it as Sat Chit is consciousness, and he couples it with Shakti, Shakti, consciousness force. These two are the secret of all power. And the more and more in our individual lives, we connect with our true nature, the more inner strength we gain. That's the empowerment that we get. And then we can know that the path is okay, that we are not following a wrong path, because the moment we follow a path which takes us away from our true nature, we lose strength. We drain ourselves. We feel weaker and weaker. So when we are feeling empowered for no reason, we can solace, in the knowing that, yeah, this is an okay path to go within. So consciousness, the more we unite with it, it gives us Shakti, the power. The two who are one are the secret of all power. The two who are one are the might and right in things. Uchit karm, the right action. Where is it coming from? Where should it spring it from? It springs from that unity within, knowingly knowing myself as consciousness and then acting it out. That is the right, the ritam, satyam ritam brihat, as Sri Aurobindo would say. So they are the might, they become the power, they are the propelling engine, and they are propelling us towards the right in things, uchit karm, beneficial action. His soul, silent, supports the world and her. If not for the silence and immutability of the Purusha, the dance would not happen. So there is a purpose to the immutability and the silence of Purusha. Imagine you go to theater, you watch a play, or you go to movie, you watch a movie, theater halls, movie halls, we go and watch a movie. So if the screen is not stable, how would the projections come upon it nicely? So consciousness is that screen, which is absolutely stable and very insipid. It's like as if there is nothing there. Those of us who have watched movies on the screen, I have done many times, the theaters, all the focus goes on the projections on the screen, the play of Prakriti. All the focus is there. At any point of time, we are mostly not aware that it's because of the screen's presence that the projections are seen. Now, if there is a landscape coming up on the screen and it shows a waterfall, now there is no reality per se to the waterfall, because the closer I go to the screen and I touch it, the waterfall is not there. There's only the screen. And just like that, if you go towards the clouds, and you try to touch the clouds, you can't really touch it. They are as if they're not there, but there. So that kind of a surreality. So all there is to the manifestation of Prakriti or movements in our what we see in waking reality, all the movements are happening on this screen of awareness or screen of consciousness, which itself does not make it appear very loud. And that's why we miss it. All the play, where was it happening? On the screen. But screen, nobody talks of. Everybody talks of what a beautiful movie. Because there is no quality to the screen. That's why we say Nirgun. Brahman, Nirgun Swarup, we talk about it, without any qualities. And that's why the play of qualities can happen on this Nirgun Swarup, because it's itself without any qualities. So his soul, which is silent, is the very reason of supporting the world, the play, the Leela, and her. His acts are her commandments registered. So whatever he does in actions, whatever the movement of the soul consciousness is, it's all happening as indications. Registers in this sense is indications that whatever commandment comes from Prakriti, he acts. He does not say, no, this is not a right action, I'm not going to act. So he has given this extreme allowance to Prakriti that, okay, you lead, I will follow. You lead, I will follow. Yeah? So that in the longer run, even Prakriti, through hits and trials and all its trials and tribulations, that also completely manifests the divine radiance. The consciousness is upfront and it's not a blinded movement. Yeah, so anyone wants to add on anything here? So let's go ahead in that case. So here is where I wanted to share that last picture. I already shared it in the last one, but yeah, maybe you read it first and then I'll share that picture on the screen. Yeah, anyone who feels ready?
Yeah.
Happy. Go on, madam. Go on.
You proceed. No problem.
Happy, inert, he lies beneath her feet. His breast he offers for her cosmic dance, of which our lives are quivering theatre, and none could bear but for his strength within. Yet none would live because of his delight. Thank you.
Yeah. So this is the image, last time I had shared with you, Shiva lying down and Kali dancing on the breast of Shiva. Happy, inert. I just change the screen. Yeah, here. I hope you all can see this. Happy, inert, he lies beneath her feet. His breast he offers for her cosmic dance. So the movement of time, centuries and centuries of God knows, how many wars we have been through, how many epidemics, pandemics, globally, I'm talking of globally, and parallelly, it also goes well for individual lives. Parallelly, we also, all the drama he allows. He gives a sanction to all the drama, that here I am, the immutable base on which the theater play can go on. And so imagine that Shiva lying below, it's almost as if the screen that you see when you go to watch movies, that's the screen. And Kali, with all her dramas and, all the moods and passions and ecstasy, all that is happening as a movie on the screen. But if not for the screen, the movie will not be happening. So that's the supreme surrender. Shiva, the consciousness, surrenders itself to the movement of Prakriti, because these two are one. They are not as if I am surrendering to someone else. And that's why when we talk about surrendering to the divine, we are not surrendering to anyone else. We are surrendering to our own supreme. So this image was what I wanted to share, and later on I'll share something else, but for now, this one. So happy, inert, he lies beneath her feet. His breast he offers for her cosmic dance, of which our lives are the quivering theater. So where is the dance happening? In our individual lives. Look at all the drama in your life. Each one has a unique drama happening in our lives. And that is allowed. That is, the consciousness has said, yes, you can do the drama, of which our lives are the quivering theater. And many a times event can really go bad. In relative aspects, people die. Extreme worst events can happen. What happened in during the Nazi time, Hitler, concentration camps, so much of atrocity. What's happening right now, Afghanistan, the reign of Taliban and all that, all is the quivering theater. It has been allowed, of which our lives are the quivering theater. And how can we bear this? He says, and none could bear but for the strength, for his strength within. That's what we call human spirit, that we can go through any difficult times, and even then something does not wither away. What's that something? Something still shines and bears all the pains and the sufferings of turmoils of life. This is because of this immutable aspect of Shiva's consciousness, which is present within and without. Because of that, we can bear it all. Immutable stage. It would not mutate itself at all, no matter how atrocious things can become. And none could bear but for his strength within. So the strength we find within ourselves when we go through the trials and tribulations in our life, that's Shiva's strength, that's divine strength. Yet none would leave because of his delight. So it's because of the delight the consciousness has, the joy that consciousness has in the play of Prakriti. That's why he allows himself to get the touch of her feet. because he gains a delight in that touch of Prakriti. So like the supreme ultimate love story, we can say, none could bear but for his strength within, yet none would leave because of his delight. So one cannot say that, one who has tasted the delight would not be able to say that, no, oh my God, I don't want to come to this manifestation again. You don't find yourself saying, because there is a delight along with pain and suffering. Yeah? So really very powerful, all encompassing lines here. Anyone who wants to add on, please.
That picture was very beautiful, Monica, really. When you explain through that picture, no, it is more of, yeah.
Yeah.
Shiva's face is very peaceful and calm.
Yeah. Happy and inert,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meditative, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Taru,
Yeah,
please.
I just have a confession. The first time you showed this picture in the last session, I'm so used to seeing the what do you call it, the devil, no, like Rakshas, hai na, at the bottom of Kali, that when you showed, I didn't even see it was Shiva. Like, my brain just assumed that it is just the thing. And when you said Shiva, I was like, huh, where is he? Kind of a thing. So I just this that how much I'm not seeing. It just, that is what hit me, that it was crystal clear. Like, how could I see? Once I saw, it was impossible to unsee. But to actually just these images that we have, that we don't even give it our 1 second of awareness that, okay, this picture, what is it saying, right? Kali, a person lying down, okay, Rakshas, and move on.
Yeah.
It really kind of hit me that day. So I just wanted to share this thing. Yeah, thank you.
It's coming in all Devi chants also.
Yeah.
Lalita Sahasranamam, Soundari Lagari, everything. One verse is there. And finally, that Sivashakti Aikya Swarupini, it will come like that. Actually.
Okay.
So, as you said, that Purusha and Prakriti will join. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. I also, this about this Rakshas thing, because when I remember that this image was something which I was always confused about, that if it was a Rakshas beneath Kali's feet, that would be okay. I can understand it's a Rakshas, but how can Shiva be at the Kali's feet? So that always has intrigued. But now, with Sri Aurobindo's explanation, it's really amazing. Yeah. Great, what a blessing. Yes. So anyone who feels ready, please read these lines, the one in pink.
I'll go, Monica. No one is there.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay. His works, his thoughts have been devised by her. His being is a mirror vast of hers. Active, inspired by her, he speaks and moves. His deeds obey her heart's unspoken demands. Passive, he bears the impacts of the world, as if her touches shaping his soul and life. His journey through the days is her sun march. He runs upon her roads, hers is his course.
Yeah. So before I come to these lines, I want to share, put on the screen. Yeah, this one. So this one now, this Nirvan Shatkar, I'm sure some of us know about this already. I'll take the English version here. I've taken it up from Muji's site. What is it saying? I am not the mind, the intellect, the ego, or the memory. I am not the ears, the skin, the nose, or the eyes. I am not space, not earth, not fire, water, or wind. I am the form of consciousness and bliss. I am the eternal Shiva. I am not the breath, nor the five elements. I am not matter, nor the five sheets of consciousness, nor am I the speech, the hands, or the feet. I am the form of consciousness and bliss. I am eternal Shiva. There is no like or dislike in me, no greed or delusion. I know not pride or jealousy. I have no duty, no desire for wealth, lust, or liberation. I am the form of consciousness and bliss. I am the eternal Shiva. Chidanand Rupam, consciousness and bliss. No virtue or vice, no pleasure or pain. I need no mantras, no pilgrimage, no scriptures or rituals. I am not the experienced, nor the experience itself. I am the form of consciousness and bliss. I am the eternal Shiva. I have no fear of death, no caste or creed. I have no father, no mother, for I was never born. I am not a relative, nor a friend, nor a teacher, nor a student. I am the form of consciousness and bliss. I am the eternal Shiva. I am devoid of duality. My form is formlessness. I exist everywhere, pervading all senses. I am neither attached, neither free, nor captive. I am the form of consciousness and bliss. I am the eternal Shiva. So here we see, why one of the reasons why I wanted to share, first of all, it's really very powerful, beautiful. Secondly, there we see a negation here. I am not this, I am not this. We see a negation here, like neti, 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 neti. And where we find solace with Mother and Sri Aurobindo is that they do iti, 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 iti also parallelly. So yes, I am not the breath, but where is breath happening? Breath has no existence if not for me. Yes, I am not the ego, but where is the ego happening? So this merging of kind of dualities and progressing on this path of merging of dualities, that yes, I don't have to leave the matter or my body in a demeaning state, in an inferior state. I can take it along on the path. That's something which I personally find very, very inspirational with Mother and Sri Aurobindo, and also with a few other masters, that yes, I am not this, I am beyond all that. And yet, once I stabilize myself in the Shiva's consciousness, then I see that all is me. All is me, because there is nothing but me. So how can I leave the Prakriti in an inferior or ignorant form? So there we find also the path to integral yoga, that we don't have to leave anything behind in order to realize ourselves. Yeah, anyone wants to share anything here? Okay. His works, his thoughts have been devised by her. So he has, as we were reading earlier, that he has given her the plan of cosmic management. Okay, you tell me what to do. You dictate. You are the dominant one. It's your dictates which will be heard. His works, his thoughts have been devised by her. His being is a mirror vast of hers. So he allows himself to be the mirror of whatever Prakriti wants to do, the force, the Shakti wants to do. And I think I was able to connect here that how we live as tendencies for a long time before we become conscious that I'm living as a tendency. That play is also a part, relative importance it has in this evolution of consciousness. That first I live as a tendency, I have no individuality of my own. I cannot call myself an individual. I'm just a mass of tendencies and patterns put together. And this is allowed. This soul consciousness does not interfere. And when slowly through events, happenings, and life experiences, slowly it can happen that we grow in consciousness. I become conscious of the movement I had become one with. So there is a detachment that comes, neti that comes. And then once I own my kingdom fully, then I can exert a mastery over the movements of Prakriti. I can have beauty in the thoughts, I can have beauty in the feelings, I can have deep emotions, rather than shunning away emotions. I can have deep emotions, empathy, compassion, kindness. All that can come only when I become conscious of Prakriti that has been so far ruling me. And this overruling by Prakriti was allowed. It is allowed. His works, his thoughts have been devised by her. His being is a mirror vast of hers. So whatever I see in myself is thoughts, patterns, tendencies. So he mirrors Prakriti. That's the bunch I see in myself. Active. So he has two stances, active and passive. Active, inspired by her, he speaks and moves. So whatever the tendency wants me to say, I say it. Active, he gets inspired by her and he speaks and moves. His deeds obey her heart's unspoken demands. So when there are two people who are close together, many a times you don't even have to communicate what the other person wants and the task gets done. So such is the kind of relationship, Purusha and Prakriti, that Prakriti's unspoken demands, he hears and he follows and obeys. So there is a very intimate communication because they are one in consciousness. His deeds, so whatever actions he does, are in accordance with how Prakriti wants to kind of lead the course. Passive, he bears the impacts of the world. So in passivity, the passive stance that he takes, he bears the impacts of the world. So there is, as we were sharing earlier, that no matter how many hardships one goes through, so much of pain, so much of suffering in each individual life, being passive consciousness bears the impact of the world. So also individually and also on a global scale. So many atrocities we have been through, the whole of at least we can talk about Earth. So many things have happened over eons, centuries, fires and wildfires and concentration camps and wars after wars. So he passively bears this impact, and holds it, like does not let it wither away. Passive, he bears the impacts of the world as if her touch is shaping his soul and life. So why would he bear at all these impacts? Because somewhere, as soul consciousness, as soul individuality, one grows through these experiences. We all of us have this much of experience that we know how much our pain and sufferings and turmoils have given us. So we have been shaped by them. We have been shaped by the sufferings of life or happenings of life. So he allows this to happen so that the soul consciousness can grow forward and have a beautiful shape, matures and ripens in the process. Passive, he bears the impacts of the world as if her touch is shaping his soul and life. His journey through the days is her sun march. He runs upon her roads. Hers is his course. So this movement of day and light and, the seasons and winter and summer and spring. So all these journeys, the sun march, the different phases of day and night and twilight, this is how he journeys forward. Through Prakriti, he journeys forward. He runs upon her roads. So the roads are devised by her and he runs. The patterns, the thought patterns, the thinking patterns we have, the emotional patterns we have, the way we see life, the point of views we have, all this is part of Prakriti. And he allows himself to follow these trails for as long as required. He runs upon his roads, hers is his course. So we allow ourselves to go on in the grooves of tendencies that are there, sanskaras that are there. That's Prakriti. It's a bundle of Prakriti that we all are. And the consciousness, soul consciousness, allows itself to be masked, so that in gradually time, Prakriti herself becomes illuminated. There is perfection possible while we are human beings. Yeah, anything anyone wants to add on? So many marriages happening nowadays. Yeah, I just hear some noises outside. So yeah, sorry for that comment. Yeah, this one in yellow, anyone who feels ready.
A witness and student of her joy and dole, a partner in her evil and her good. He has consented to her passionate ways. He is driven by her sweet and dreadful force.
Yeah. So all the time, 24/7, things are happening. At times one is sad, at times one is joyous, at times one is having maybe some ache here or there, headache or migraine. Things are happening, joys and dole, sorrow, joy and sorrow happening. And he is a silent witness. And not only a witness, he's also a student. He's learning. The soul consciousness grows through experiences, ripens through these experiences. So he is a witness and a student of her joy and dole. The movements are his teachings or lessons. A partner in her evil and her good. So he's one with the crime, partner in the crime. He's one with the movement of Prakriti. Whether it's good, awareness is there. Whether it's bad, awareness is there. In one way, we can look at it like this, that all the time, what is common thread in our experiences? This awareness or consciousness of movements is this common thread. That never for a movement we can do this, that we totally lose it. And even when I'm able to say that, oh, I lost it, who knew that I lost it? So there was still something in me which knew that I lost it. So that knowing never leaves us. A partner in her evil and her good. He has consented to her passionate ways. So the colorful, bright, vibrant way of Kali, so much of drama and happenings and destruction and all that, he has consented to her passionate ways. He is driven by her sweet and dreadful force. So it's at the same time how he paradoxically puts it together, He is driven by her sweet and dreadful force, because it's full of Shakti and power. And yet there is a sweetness he sees there. That's why he allows the play, because there is a sweetness in her touch. He is driven, he is motivated by her sweet and dreadful force, a force which can make things move, a force which can really have a overwhelming influence over things. Yeah. Anything to add on? So this is one of the very long sentences here by Sri Aurobindo. See, there we don't see we don't see a full stop anywhere here, so we'll have to pause in between. Here is the full stop, which is a little too far, so let's stop here in between here. Anyone who wants to read, please go ahead.
His sanctioning name initials all her works. His silence is his signature to her deeds. In the execution of her drama's scheme, in her fancies of the moment and its mood, in the march of this obvious ordinary world, where all is deep and strange to the eyes that see, and nature's common forms are marvel whelps.
Yeah, thank you. So he gives his sanction on whatever he allows. He allows everything. Everything is allowed. If we look at our life, suffering is allowed, pain is allowed, atrocity is allowed, torture is allowed, everything is allowed. So he has given his sanction. He signs, when we sign a document or a letter or something, so we give sanction to it. His sanctioning name initials all her works. And we can also, I was just reflecting over it and thinking that we can also look at it in this way, in practical context, that when anger is there, when we see that there is anger happening, the awareness has already said yes to anger. But something in me, many a times it happens that, for example, suffering is there. Awareness has said yes to the suffering. It is allowed, suffering is allowed. But parallelly, as anger or suffering is there, we also have a resistance to suffering. That I don't want to suffer. I don't want this to happen. So there is a resistance going on parallelly. More often than not, that resistance is the cause of our misery. I may be suffering in the body, there may be pain, but if I allow myself to go through the process, then suffering decreases, like the self-inflicted misery decreases. But more often we are in a very kind of conflicted situation, that something is there and I am resisting that, why it's there, why is suffering still there, and that becomes the cause of my pain. And the moment I say yes, I see in me suffering, and I also see in me a resistance to suffering. And then this judging starts, that, oh, I'm also resisting the suffering, oh my God, that's not good. So a judging, so it's like a vicious loop that we enter into. And at any moment we have free will. With free will, I can allow things to be. I can allow resistance to be, not following its dictate, not following the dictate of anger or resistance or suffering, just allowing it to be, that yes, I see you, yes, you are there. So at any moment this can be done. We become conscious of a pain, we become conscious of an emotional movement, and I say, okay, I see you. You can be here for as long as you want. And in that, if we stay for a longer time, the situation diffuses by itself, and we need not really do much in that matter. Whatever the right action is, we take that action. But more often than not, we are usually resisting the situation. A person may have insulted, or said some remark. Now, my source of misery is not that remark, but what are the conclusions going in my head about that remark? That why did this happen? This was very bad. This could not have happened, should not have happened. So all that creates misery. The moment I allow the remark to be, that, okay, I see you, and not give much focus to it, it's like an empty bubble. It'll blast off in a few moments. Everything is fleeting anyway. And we see that we again and again stabilize ourselves in consciousness, in awareness. So he gives the universe or the consciousness or awareness, it says yes to all movements, while the ego is busy saying no. That's where the misery of ego starts, because it is busy saying no. His sanctioning name initials all her works. His silence is his signature to her deeds. So the very fact that the Purusha doesn't say anything means that he has said yes, right? So if somebody comes and asks for your hand in marriage and you say, you say nothing, for example, it is assumed to be a yes. Usually, it can become a cause of suffering later, but usually it is assumed to be a yes. So no news is good news. So his silence, the other way that he gives sanction to the works of Prakriti is by silence, by not saying anything, by not resisting. His silence is his signature to her deeds. That yes, please go ahead. In the execution of her drama's scheme, in her fancies of the moment and its mood, in the march of this obvious, ordinary world, where all is deep and strange to the eyes that see. This is very, very powerful 2 lines here, 2-3 lines. In the march of this obvious, ordinary world. This is the problem with us adults. As we grow, we think we know. Oh, this is a computer, I know this. Oh, this is a child, I know this. But with children, they have this in their eyes. If you look at infants, toddlers, they have full of eyes full of wonderment. Okay, let me see what is this. Let me look at this bird or a creature, or with everything, even material objects, they look at it very, very in wonder, that as if something really alien has arrived and they have to explore it. This sense of wonderment most often dies as we become badly conditioned adults, and that's what has to be kept alive, the child, the sense of wonderment in us. So in this march of this obvious, ordinary world, for adults the world is very ordinary, but then he paradoxically says, where all is deep and strange to the eyes that see. Now, look at any piece of solid furniture or a wall that is there maybe in front of you. Now, the moment we see any piece of furniture or a solid wall in front of us, the limited mind says, I know this is a curtain. I know this is a wall. But do we really know? Because even physics, quantum physics, if we go deeper into that wood or the wall, at the level of atoms, things are changing and moving. Sometimes it's a particle, sometimes it's a wave. So that solidity that appears in the wall or the chair, is it really there? Is it really there, that solidity? So to the eyes that can see beyond the appearances, everything is very deep and strange. Each day can be full of wonderment. But to the eyes which are not ready to see beyond appearances, everything is mundane. Where all is deep and strange to the eyes that see, and nature's common forms are marvel wefts. Little forms created by nature. Look at the precision and the beauty in them. Very little grain of sand you pick up, a little piece of stone, maybe a leaf, a fallen leaf, and maybe a leaf which has dried up completely and it's showing the web pattern that is there, the jali that appears when a leaf has completely dried. So such beauty and marvel there in little details of nature. Everything, nature's common forms are marvel wefts. How much of precision and intelligence and consciousness has gone into each and every part of creation. But we miss this because we think we know what we are looking at. So we miss the beauty, we miss the depth and the strangeness of the miracle of matter. Yeah, anything to add on, anyone? Okay, so yeah, anyone who feels ready?
She, through his witness sight and motion of might, unrolls the material of her cosmic act. Her happenings that exalt and smite the soul, her force that moves, her powers that save and slay, her word that in the silence speaks to our hearts, her silence that transcends the summit word, her heights and depths to which our spirit moves, her events that weave the texture of our lives, and all by which we find or lose ourselves, things sweet and bitter, magnificent and mean, things terrible and beautiful and divine.
Yeah. So these are the ways in which she moves, her cosmic act. She, through his witness sight and motion of might, unrolls the material of her cosmic act. So she is as if uncharting, unfolding, unrolling the raw material with which she makes the manifestation possible. The cosmic drama, the Leela, the play. Her happenings that exalt, and this is the raw material. What comes here now? Her happenings, her force. This is the raw material with which she makes things move, and the drama is created. What are these happenings? Her happenings that exalt and smite the soul. There are many experiences that we go through, so uplifting experiences, like full of delight and joy. And then there are experiences which are so damaging to the soul. Smite of the soul, smite the soul. These are her happenings, Prakriti's movements. Her happenings that exalt and smite the soul. He puts the dualities together now. Her force that moves, her powers that save and slay. So Prakriti also has the power to save and also at the same time the power to slay. Through these movements, she creates the cosmic act. Her word that in the silence speaks to our hearts. So the eternal word that is that we get to in touch with when we are in our intimate silences. She's speaking to us. We hear a command or a dictate. Her word that in the silence speaks to our hearts. Her silence that transcends the summit word. So he puts both of them together. How she creates the drama. So at times her silences are so powerful that no word can stand in front of that. Her silence that transcends the summit word. Her heights and depths to which our spirit moves. And all by which we find or lose ourselves. So there are times in which we completely identify with the stories in our head. We become the story and the role, the character that we play. We lose ourselves. And then there are happenings in our lives where we find ourselves. We get in touch with our inner being more and more. So these are the happenings. This is the play of Prakriti. And all by which we find or lose ourselves. One may see something extremely beautiful and attractive somewhere, extremely higher and lofty, and one loses oneself in that thing, forgets about the inner being. And that is also a play of Prakriti. And then maybe through suffering and whatever pain that we may get, we again become in touch with our inner being. We find ourselves. Things sweet and bitter. All of us have experienced it, sweet and bitter experiences. Things sweet and bitter, magnificent, very beautiful happenings, higher and lofty happenings in our life, and the mean happenings in our life. So this is the color and vibrancy of Prakriti, how she creates the cosmic act. Things sweet and bitter, magnificent and mean, things terrible and beautiful and divine. So amazing, like the imagery that he creates here, with as if he paints an image in front of us through his words. So yeah, this is our lives. He's painting our lives in front of us. Mm. Yeah, anyone who wants to add on anything? So I'll just cover these last two lines also. And after that, I have to share something. It's not important that I share it today. It's something just I came across. Her empire in the cosmos she has built. So it's all a play of nature. Shiva's consciousness is nowhere to be seen. All a play of nature. So she has built an empire. Her empire in the cosmos she has built. But who has provided the canvas? The consciousness, the eternal Shiva himself. He is governed by her subtle and mighty laws. So he allows himself to be governed by the laws of nature, gravity, and the force of magnetism, and all these different forces in life, laws of life. He allows himself to be governed by the laws of nature. Yeah. So I think next we'll take up maybe in the next time. Yeah. Okay, I'll just share shortly in something which I came across. We can also cover this up in the next session. This I was reading something on relativity, and this was something very interesting I came across. So he talks about relativity here a bit, and then also talks about ego. The cause of ego is that while by its double power of vidya and avidya, the spirit, eternal consciousness, the spirit, dwells at once in the consciousness of multiplicity and relativity. So the action of, while we look at appearances and things and forms which are fleeting, there we are in multiplicity and relativity. And parallelly, it's also dwelling in the consciousness of unity and identity. So we parallelly with the movement of Prakriti and things and forms and appearances which are very, very limited and separatist in nature, the consciousness is also dwelling in unity and identity. This awareness is our shared being. Knowing is our shared being. That's where we are one, all are one. Because it's the same knowing with which somebody in Bombay may be knowing his thought, and the same knowing would be there with which somebody in Kashmir may be knowing his feeling. It's like the space extending itself throughout. So this is our shared being. So this was very interesting, just this bit. Rest we can do later. That parallelly, it's a double power of vidya and avidya. Avidya can be related with this relativity of experience and separatist kind of view, where all is limited and finite. And then parallelly in the consciousness of unity and identity, and is therefore not bound by ignorance. And the rest of the para is also beautiful. Yeah. That's what I wanted to share. Anyone who wants to add on? Any reflection? Okay, so I think I am assuming there's no further reflection. Thank you for listening, joining, and delighting in Savitri. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.